There we go. Good evening, good evening, good evening. So, before we start off with anything else, Judgy just hit number 50 for the Yankees. He's one of four players ever to play the game to have 50 home runs in a season four times. So, he just hit his 50th home run. Obviously, gives the Yankees the lead on top of it. But number 50 for the Judge. Guy's amazing. He is the best player. I mean, him and Shohei Otani, 1 and 2, one and two. Those guys are just amazing. Anyway, good evening. It was funny. I'm watching Judge bat. Will you stop? Seriously, behave yourself. We're not doing this. I'm not doing this the whole live stream. So no, stop it. Be good. Um, so, freaking dog. I love her to death, but she's driving me nuts. Anyway, lost my train of thought. Completely lost my train of thought. Anyway, welcome everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you guys have had a good day. Hey, stop. Then don't do that. Stop. Let's see who all we got here. Dale's in the house. Dale from Ohio. Delbert Jones. Janet's here. Wishika's in the house. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Mimi's here. DJ's in the house. Jen is here. So welcome everybody. I hope you guys, like I said, I hope everybody's had a good day. We finally had a decent day of rain. We really, really needed the rain. So we had an awesome day of rain. The two main tanks that I use for water, because I have obviously other tanks that I could utilize if I need to, but the two main tanks that I use were pretty low. We're getting low. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to hit that other tank here in a little while, but got a decent amount of rain today, so hopefully that helps. And then whatever I catch, off of the camper as well, I utilize that water as well. So I have like that bucket. I have other buckets that are full, and, it's all part of the thing. But, I'm using water, for the chickens every day and the dogs every day, so that it adds up. But so I was happy to see a decent day of rain here at the homestead. All right. Before we jump into anything, I want to remind everybody that this is a very family-friendly oriented channel. I would ask you all to please be decent in the chat. No racism, no nastiness. If you cannot abide by those very simple, easy rules, those awesome people lit up in blue with the blue wrenches are going to boot you out of here. Now, the morons will come in, and they'll present themselves, and they'll have their little comments. Please do not engage with them. Let my moderators take care of them, and that would be great. And that's good. So I appreciate that. We don't want to feed them. So, but they will still try because they don't know any better because they're ignorant. That's just how it goes. So, all right. So by the title, you're probably wondering, will you stop, for the love of God? No, I don't care. You're not going outside, so stop it. Stop. No. You're not going out till after I put the puppies to bed. You can go out after then. Now you have to sleep or relax or do something, but not be up my behind. No, Ellis. Oh, for the love of God. Help me. See, this is, I really, honestly, folks, you know what I think the answer is? Drinking heavily. I always say that whenever the kids used to drive me nuts. I used to say, I think the answer is drinking heavily, but the only problem is I'm not a big drinker. So, and I don't like hangovers. So, that would be like, so it never worked. That was never the answer. But, oh my gosh. Anyway, so the title that you saw, is there any hope for the young people today, right? And you're probably wondering, thinking, well, because they're all messed up and don't know, what gender they are, or, none of them want, a lot of them, I shouldn't say none of them, but a lot of them don't want to work, the whole 9 yards, right? You were probably thinking that, which is part of it, which is part of it. I was just watching a show, and the guy was up in Alaska, and he was looking at off-grid. No, stop. Now, enough. No, no. Um, he was looking at off-grid homes, people living off-grid and stuff, and he was talking about how Alaska is very conservative, very right-leaning state, and stuff like that. And a lot of people that have moved to Alaska for freedom and everything else have done so because it's a very right-leaning state. And they were saying, talking to the one guy, he goes, well, there's a couple of cities that are pretty liberal. Some town, he says, that, they put like litter box in the classroom at the school, which is insane to me. It's that, I'm sorry, I don't care if you think you're a cat or not. You don't get a litter box at school. You want to pee in a litter box and poop in a litter box at home, and your parents are delusional enough to let you do that, then go ahead. But they shouldn't feed into that insanity at school. Shouldn't do it. That's my take on that. But you're dealing with a lot of the kids today. There's a lot of brainwashing going on, obviously. And so, a lot of these kids have no idea. There's a lot of kids out there. See kitten ears behind me? Yeah, that's Clyde is hanging out there. Bonnie's over here in the other spot. There's a lot of kids today out there that are hardworking, that are busting their butts, that are trying to get ahead, and they're finding it very, very difficult. So, that's kind of, I do want to talk about the meltdown of our society as whole, but and a lot of that is to blame on the parents. Okay, let's put the blame where the blame goes. A lot of these kids are so messed up and goofed because their parents allow it. Their parents allow it, or they foster it, or they encourage it. Okay, well, they're trying to find themselves. Yeah, well, they'll find themselves on the end of my foot. I am very old school. Now, I will say this. When it came to, like, with Eddie, spankings never worked with Eddie. All right. It did not work with Eddie. And I was really, really frustrated. And this is when he was younger, until I figured it out what would work with him. So to get Eddie to comply, to do what we were asking him to do, and not just, always blame everything on his autism and how I can't and blah, blah, blah. I used his computer time. If he chose not to help, he could choose not to help. We let him have that choice, but we did not reward him for not helping. If he didn't help for that day, and I only did it for the day. I was never one of these parents that were like, you're grounded for 2 weeks, or whatever the case may be. We did it for the day. If you choose not to participate and help with what we're doing, you don't get to go on the laptop at all for the rest of the day. And that was the worst torture you could possibly do to Eddie, because he lives to be online. So that's the tool that I used. So, but, a lot of people are not disciplining their children. They're not teaching their children to be ready for the real world situations. Everybody does not get a participation trophy in the real world. You work, and if you don't work, you're not going to have a job. And if you don't show up, you're not going to have a job, or all those things. Okay. So it is a lot of these kids that are busting their butts, though, that are working hard and are trying to get ahead. They're running into a tremendous amount of roadblocks, trying to get out on their own, if you will. It's very, very expensive. And, I feel for a lot of these kids today, because the rents are outrageous. It's difficult to go out there on your own and do it. And I'm sure that, a lot of them want to be gone from home. But I will tell you what, as a father of a child with autism, what's your take on this Tylenol thing? I'm going to talk. I don't know about the Tylenol thing. I have made a statement in the past what I believe was a contributing factor to my son's autism. I got a strike, okay, for that. And so I really am not going to get into that online because, it will be construed as spreading false information. But when you live it and you see it, and you see the difference in why things happened, or, all of a sudden you have a normal child and the next day you don't, uh, you know, there's definitely something going on there. And, you know, so I really don't want to get into that. But the whole Tylenol thing, I don't know. I really don't have a full answer on that one. I don't think that necessarily is, you know, I'm going to tell you what, when I was young, okay, not very many people had autism. I mean, it was very few and far between. All right. And as they increased the number of things you got as a child, those numbers started to go up. So, is there a correlation there? I'm not saying there is, and I'm not saying that there's not. So, like I said, again, I got to be really careful because I don't want to be accused of spreading false information. All I know is what happened with my son, and I use that as an example. And you can't tell me that it's something different than what it was. And that's just the only way I'm going to put that. So, anyway, um, if a parent is going to give a child a punishment grounding, keep to the punishment. And 2 or 3 hours later, let them go back to because the parent wants them out of their hair and not keep the punishment. Yeah, see, there's the problem. When you make a threat to a child of a punishment, okay, here's another important aspect of it. You have to follow through. Because if you do not follow through, then your word means nothing. They know your word means nothing, and they're just going to do whatever they want to do. Okay, so that is a huge aspect of it. Okay, you have to follow through with those type of things. Does YouTube listen to your or record you? What they'll do, Lamb's Light, there's certain with the AI, there's certain trigger words a lot of time. And so if you are talking about a topic like with Eddie, and I'm giving an opinion of what I observed or something to that effect, and I say certain things, yes. So they're looking for trigger words, and then they may come in and check what you're talking about and stuff like that, and see if it is violating their policies. So, like I said, you have to be really, really careful what you say or how you say it. And so that's why a lot of times when I want to talk about something, I'll put it in the form of a question because I'm not saying this or I'm not saying that. It's a question. So, I really, with that topic, you really have to be very, very careful because if you don't go along with the narrative, then you are absolutely going to be punished. And so, I just have to leave certain things alone. And that's kind of what, but that's just, that's part of it. So anyway, but so that's, yeah. So anyway, but when it comes to kids, in punishment, you got to follow through. If you don't follow through, you're not helping that child in the long run. And so. Ed, YouTube CEO admitted before Congress that the Democrats forced them to censor right-leaning channels. Wow, you think? Imagine that. Well, why don't they stop doing it then, JJ? That would be nice. Stop doing it. Stop shadow banning. Let the content go out there. Let the chips fall where they may. If people want to watch you, let them watch you instead of, going after, like I said, conservative-leaning channels. So. But yeah, tell me something I didn't know. What are you doing, Clyde? But yeah, so but yeah, it's okay. They're all both of them are up there now. They sleep together they're like so cute. They really truly are such good cats. And what'll so I'll tell you how like after the live stream, I will go out. I'll leave her in here. I'll leave them in here. I'll get the puppies out, get them squared away, get them fed, get them put away for the night, and then I'll come back to this door. And as soon as I open the door, both of the cats and her want to go out. So I let them go, and then that's her last run of the night. So, but they supposedly are to reinstate those that are banned for being right leaning. Well, I'll believe it when I see it. You know what I mean? If my channel starts to grow again and starts to pick up, then I will believe it. Until then, I won't. That's kind of the way that goes. I would love it if they would just let us do our thing, and if they want to watch you, they watch you. If they don't want to watch you, they won't watch you. I think everybody has a right to hear, from people that have lived certain things. Like, I'll give you an example. We're not going to go back to like with my son, but I'm going to give you an example of something else. I'm a cancer survivor. Okay. So I may have a certain insight, right, of what it's like to go through, having cancer, the thought process, where's your brain at? What are you thinking? Having surgery. I can talk on that because I've lived it. Okay. As a parent with a child that has a certain situation happening, I think I should also have the right to talk about my experience with that, what my thought process is with that. I think that that's always, that would be a better opportunity for open dialogue. And then people can say what they think. You know what I mean, as far as that goes. So what do we got? 137 people in the chat, guys. We got 51 thumbs up. If you have not shot a thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you to please do so to show support for the channel. I do appreciate that. It really makes a huge difference with the algorithm, so I thank you for that reason as well. Also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, I would ask you to please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well, and I thank you for that reason as well. All right, so getting back to everything. So you got a lot of hardworking kids today, and I'm going to tell you what, there is, I don't know what she had. I haven't been able to get her yet. I got to catch her. I don't know what exactly she's got in her eye, but I got to get a hold of her and really look at that. So yeah, whatever it is, I got to make sure if it's not like a tick or something, whatever, I'm trying to get it out of there for her. But I was tied up today, so I really didn't get a chance. And people that were in my private live stream know why I was tied up today. But I'm not going to talk about that on the main channel. So, like I said, people that are part of my private live stream, which I just had at 6 o'clock, they get all the inside information that a lot of times I don't talk about on the main channel. And so, it's a lot more personal, which is kind of neat too. So you haven't seemed to age, Ed? Well, I appreciate that. Try not to. The years still keep going, though. The years still keep going. I've been very fortunate. I have good genes. I come from good genes on both my dad and my mom's side. My mom doesn't look her age. Mom's 82 years old now, and people were, they're shocked when they find out that she's 82. My dad, people used to think he was 20 years younger than he was because he didn't look his age. And he used to lie. Oh, my God, he would lie terribly, terribly, telling people that he was much younger than he was. But, to me, it's like, I'm like, first of all, I'm shocked that I've lived this long. That's number one. I just had a friend of mine that I grew up with. I'll give you an example of something. A friend of mine that I grew up with, he's a year younger than me, or two years younger than me, And we were neighbors in the same neighborhood, so we hung out all the time growing up and stuff like that. Well, he got married to this young lady at 18. They were both 18 when they got married. And everyone was like, yeah, that ain't gonna. I even was like, that ain't gonna last. They're too young. There's no way. It's not gonna last. They're too young. Um, she just passed away at 58. They were married for 40 years. And, I went to give him a call, left him a message, and he messaged me on Facebook Messenger. And he said, I got your messages and I appreciate it. He said, I'm in no condition to talk right now. So, he was like, but I appreciate you reaching out. So I'll talk to him at some point. But I can't imagine, somebody that you spent 2/3 of your life with, and then they're gone. I can't imagine what that would be like. So I feel my heart reaches out to him. I feel horrible for him, because, like I said, they were together, since they were kids, basically. At 18, you're still a kid at 18. So, but anyway, so yeah, you never know. I mean, whatever time we get is what we get. And I've been very, very fortunate. I've been fortunate for the most part to have really good health for most of my life. I dealt with, excuse me, I had meningitis when I was 4 years old. I had tonsils and adenoids out, and then appendicitis when I was 9. And back then, I'll tell you, so it was so bad with appendicitis, I kept complaining. I got pain. I would be walking along, and then the pain would hit, and I literally would have to lay on the ground wherever I was until it subsided so I could get up and go. And I kept telling my mom, I'm in pain. I don't know what's going on. I just, and my stepfather, who was a tool, not the one that I like. This was the earlier one. There's nothing wrong with that kid, blah, blah, blah. So my mom finally was like, there's something wrong with him. So I'll tell you the sequence of this, how this happened. I went to the doctors at 2:00. They admitted me into the hospital at 4:00, and they operated on me at 6:00. This is 1974, okay? They said that the poison was all through my body, and if my appendix had burst, it didn't. But if it had, I would have died. I was in the hospital for 9 days. Now, I want you to think about that with modern stuff. With an appendicitis, it's a pretty simple procedure now. You're lucky if you spend a night overnight at the hospital now. I was in the hospital for 9 days at that point. So I had those two things happen when I was 9. The meningitis at 4. With that one almost killed me too. Don't get mad. What's your hair color? My hair on my head was always brown, and my facial hair was always black. So my body hair has always been black, but the hair on my head was brown. But I don't know why that question, but that's okay. But so anyway, then from 9 to 50, nothing, nothing. And then at 50, I got cancer. I've talked to you guys about that before. And now I am 10 years cancer free. And July was my 10-year anniversary of my surgery. And, that'll make you look at things differently. Yeah, that is a wake-up call in a lot of cases, and when I had my cancer, my kids were still young, so that was concerning. But we got through it, and we're good, and so I'm pretty happy, as far as that goes. But I just, that I'm still here and kicking and doing okay. And the only symptom that I had when it came to cancer was that on my back I had a lump. Okay, and I've had adult cystic acne my whole life. Since I started getting acne at 13, it's never gone away. So, most of my life I've dealt with acne. And so I thought it was a zit. So I'm like trying to squeeze it. I feel it on my back and I'm trying to squeeze it. And it started getting bigger. All right. Well, in my family, we die of two things. We die of old age and we die of cancer. So, it was, I'm like, I'm going to the doctors. And so I went to my doctor. They thought it was a cyst. They sent me to a specialist. He did the same day surgery, which I was awake for that one. And they pulled out of my back an encapsulated mass about that big, like an egg. Saw it. He said, we're going to run the pathologies on it. And, and I was like, okay. And 2 weeks later, when I went to go, and I felt great. After it was out, I felt fantastic. I was like, man, I feel awesome, right? Went back for 2 weeks later to go see him. And it was the next day that we were moving. And so, but what ended up happening was it was a rare form of skin cancer. It was a deep tissue cancer. The surgeon that did the first surgery, he said that he'd never seen it in his career. It's that rare. 1 in a million people get it, that form of cancer. And he said, I'll probably never see it again. And so, I'm a ball buster. I always have been. And so I looked at him and I went, well, Doc, I'm really happy that I was able to do that for you. And he started laughing. And he's like, well, it's not the reaction I expected. And I was just like, well, what do we got to do now? And so I went from that to going and meeting with my cancer doctor, meeting with her, setting up a date, and doing, the second surgery. And if you've seen any of my videos through the last 10 years, you'll have seen that scar on my back. I don't wear a shirt if it's hot out, and you can clearly see that scar, and it's a pretty big scar. And they went into the original incision site and went 10 centimeters around the entire incision site and took everything down to the muscle. And then a plastic surgeon came in, manipulated the tissue so that when it healed, it would look more natural. So I didn't have an indentation in my back. And so that's what I opted, because we could have done a skin graft, but I would have had an indentation. So I said, no, do the other. And then when I saw the scar for the first time, like I said, I like to bust chops. And I saw the scar and I looked at my cancer doctor and I go, Jesus, Doc. I said, what'd you do? Take a kidney when you were in there too? I said, you probably get a good price on the black market, And she started laughing and she's like, you know what, Ed? She goes, I wish more of my patients had your attitude. And I said, you know what, Doc? The way I look at it was like this. And that's exactly the way I looked at it, was like, I didn't care if that scar ran straight through my face, okay? As long as I was alive, that's all I cared about. I don't care about a scar, okay? So if the scar's there, it's there, whatever. I had things to accomplish. I had things that I still wanted to do. And getting that taken care of and going from there was a big step. I didn't have to do any radiation. And I didn't have to do any chemo. So I was really fortunate that way. They went in, they figured I got it all. I had to go back for a while and, do another scan, make sure everything was good. And it was. And like I said, here we are now, 10 years later. I never regained my full strength. I will tell you that. It took me over a year to actually feel right, but, it's life goes on, and like I said, I plan on being around for a long time yet. I figure I'm 2/3 of the way through. I always said 92 to 94. That's my goal. So, like with Mom, I said to her, when she hit 80, I said, so we're going to make 90? And her attitude, and I love her attitude, she's like, I don't see why not, and now she's 82. So, but like in my family, okay, both of my grandparents on my mom's side died from cancer. My mom's 2 siblings that she had, they're both dead from cancer. Mom ended up having cancer, thyroid cancer. So she just got, that taken care of, and it's been about a year. And so they had to take everything out of there. And she's doing good, and, but, she just, so, I mean, there is a huge history of cancer in my family. So survival is all about attitude. I think, well, JJ, you would know. You've been handed a big old SH sandwich with everything that you've gone through, my friend, and you're still here. And again, a lot of it is your attitude. If you feel sorry for yourself and poor me, why me, it doesn't do any good. It is what it is. And I have people that I know that hate that saying, but it is what it is. And you go, okay, well, what do we got to do? Let's beat this. Let's get on with. I got things to do. I can't be wasting my time, dealing with that. So, but that's part of life, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah, scars means you've lived. That's what scars mean. Scars means you've lived, and I got a few. I got a few scars. So, but I don't worry about it. Just it is what it is. So, anyway, with the young people today, financially, it's very, very difficult for a lot of them, and a lot of them try to stay home as long as they can. I absolutely encourage my kids to stay home. Eddie didn't want to, obviously, and so he ended up moving in with mom, and that's fine. Heather went to school, and after 2 years of school, she became disillusioned, and so she came home, and I was absolutely fine with that. I said, "You stay as long as you want to," and then when I found the property down here, and I decided to make the move down here, she obviously didn't want to make that move. And so she wanted to stay in the house. And so we got that all figured out. And, now that property is hers. And, I felt really good that I could give her that good of a head start in her life. And if something happens to my ex-wife, then Eddie would come back and live with Heather, and so, but that's all part of it. So, it's just, being able to be in a position to do that for my kids, that made me feel good. And, so I started over down here, and that's okay. That's okay. But, they're, my sister's up there. So, she's living on the property as well. And so that's a good thing. And then there's Rick, my sister's fiance, very squared away guy. I think he's awesome. So, and he's realistically, I'm going to be honest here for a minute. Of all the men my sister's been with through her life, he's only the second one that I've actually liked. The first one that I actually liked is Jeannie's dad. And we had a time for a while, but then we reconnected later. And we're still friends to this day. But Rick is a good man. And, he's very old school as well. So, he's Becky's age. So they're 59. And, they're it's good. But, yeah, so there we go. I'm not sure when they're planning on getting married yet. I don't know. They haven't really said. I think they're planning on maybe next year. I think. I don't know. They're going on a cruise in December. And I don't know if you guys know, on a cruise ship, the captain is able to marry people. So I would not be surprised if they went on this cruise and came back and were married. That would be okay as well. I just want, Becky to be happy, to have somebody that treats her well, and he does. And, that's all I care about. The last piece of garbage that she was with, if you saw the videos of back then, you could clearly see I did not like Mike. I did not like Mike. I was decent for family reasons, but I don't like the dude at all. And he knew it. So, yeah, cruise would nothing be. I would have no interest on going on a cruise ship. None. It wouldn't be my bag of beans. So, I would rather travel the country and see the different things around the country here that we have. There's so much to see, and you can just even in any state, you could take a tremendous amount of time just in a state, going to the parks and the sites and the historical places and all those type of things. There's a lot of different things that you could do that way, which would be really, really cool. So, but that's what I'd rather do. I've been to a lot of the different states. I've seen a lot of different things, and that's been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed that. And I would like to do some more traveling like that. We'll see. If not, then I'm okay with that too. I mean, but my husband and I are in our 60s. We just got our baby girl to move back in. She's saving $2,000 in rent. Oh yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. The garden life. There's nothing wrong with that. If you get along. Yeah, I've been on the bike and seen a lot of stuff on the bike, JJ. But I went out to Sturgis. It's 4 years already. Can't believe that's gone by that fast. But me and my buddy rode out to Sturgis, and that was a blast. So, that was a blast. So, but just all love seeing our country. I mean, we've got such a beautiful country, and there's so much to see. Going to Mount Rushmore. To me, and some people may not feel the same way. It was awe-inspiring. Awe-inspiring. Going and seeing Devil's Tower. That was amazing. Just hitting the different spots out there in South Dakota, was really, really neat. But I don't know if you guys saw this. They just confirmed that there was the two young men. They were both 25. They were up in Alaska. They were hunting moose or something, and people didn't know where they were, and they sent out a search party, and they found both of them passed away, and it was just confirmed what killed them. They were hit by lightning. So, I mean, what are the odds of that? You know what I mean? The odds got to be astronomical. But it killed the both of them. Very, very sad. The one young man was supposed to be getting married in a couple of months, so, but you never know. I mean, again, there's a good example of you never know. About died fishing in the Gulf. I have to if I go out on the ocean, I got to take Dramamine. I get terrible seasickness. Terrible seasickness. Now a same-day surgery is like a drive-through. Yeah, it's crazy how they do it now. I don't know it, but I don't. They didn't really get into that kind of detail. They just said that they were hit by lightning. So they had to be like standing side by side or something, and it came down and hit him and killed him. Lightning's no joke. Lightning is absolutely no joke. But anyway, I want to go back and talk about. We got off topic big time. But the kids today got a really rough road of it. It's really hard for the ones that are trying. Now, obviously, for the ones that aren't trying, that are laying around and feeling sorry for themselves, or can't figure out which bathroom to use, or if they're human, or if they're a cat or a dog, or whatever they think they are, they have like no shot. They have no shot. And what happens, when their parents are gone? Then they got to be either stand up on their own or whatever. I'll tell you something that I always thought about. With Eddie having autism, okay? And I can remember there was a little restaurant in town that we used to go to. And there was a couple that used to come in there, okay? Older couple. And when I say older, I mean they were probably in their 70s. And their son was probably in his 50s. Well, their son was mentally retarded, okay? And I always remember thinking, my God, what happens to him when they're gone? Because obviously they're keeping him home. They have him. They're going to take care of him. But when they die, who's going to step up and take care of that kid? And I'm going to talk about something, with Heather. And I've talked to her about this. And I have said to Heather, I said, I got to tell you something that really bothers me. And she goes, what's that? I said, I want to apologize to you because I've always put that pressure on you that when I'm gone and your mom is gone, to never put your brother in a group home. Okay. And I know that you're going to take care of your brother, and it's a horrible thing that I'm doing to you. And she goes, no, Dad. She goes, that's fine. She goes, I don't look at it like that. She goes, Eddie's my brother. And she says, and I'll take care of him. She goes, Josh isn't going to do it. And I go, you're right. Josh isn't going to do it. Josh is his half brother. So that leaves Heather. Because I've always said, please don't ever put your brother in a group home. I've worked them, folks. I know what those places are like. Okay. And so, she says, no, the one outbuilding, she said, I would convert it, so Eddie could have his own place, being right there, but it would be his own place. And well, yes. Yeah, Heather's got a real good head on her shoulders, and she's very responsible. We were having a discussion the one day. I got to tell you this, and I laughed because she had said to me, she goes, "You know what drives me nuts, Dad?" And I go, "What's that, honey?" She goes, "Why do I always got to be the responsible one?" And I said, "Welcome to my world." You know what I mean? Because it's like, and the only answer that I could ever come up with for that. Somebody has to be. And, Heather's a lot like me. I always said Heather's me in a female form. Okay. And I said, the only difference between Heather and I is Heather's more politically correct and I never will be. But yeah, she's very strong-minded, very determined. She's very driven, which is great. And she's a good person, and she's got a great heart, and I love her. Guys, I'll tell you, I love her with every fiber of my being. She's just absolutely wonderful kid. I mean, you couldn't ask. I mean, even raising her, you couldn't ask for a better kid. She never got spanked, ever, not one time. She hardly ever got in trouble. Very rarely, very, very rarely. I remember people saying to me, "Oh, wait till she becomes a teenager. You're going to find out then." Never happened. Never happened. She was squared away. She had a goal. She knew what she wanted. She knew what she wanted to do. So, but no, she's a good kid, and she's gonna go places in life, and being able to help put her in a position to be successful is awesome. So, but late notification, but I'm here. Hi, Diana. Glad you made it. But my daughter just graduated college and is the best daughter ever. And that's awesome, Eric. I'm glad to hear that, because too many times these kids get led astray. And this is a fact. This is a fact. The most successful kids are mom and dad in the household. Those are the most successful. The second most successful are the kids that are with dad. The ones that are the least successful are the ones that are just with mom. Now, don't get me wrong. Please don't get me twisted when I'm going to say this. There's a very large amount of very strong-willed women out there that raise their kids and their kids are squared away, but they had to be on top of it, not let them get away with crap, and they had to be very strong-willed, because especially with boys, when boys get to a certain age, they want to, act out a certain way and challenge stuff, But so but the statistics show that that's a fact. The statistics show. But I've seen, obviously, there's the cases where the kid went through school and college and did whatever, but only had mom. But mom didn't let him get away with crap. So, Broken Dolly says, I remember you saying you survived cancer, but I don't know what kind. I always thought that scar was from a tat removal. No, I would never get rid of a tattoo. I would never get rid of a tattoo. Once I got it tattooed on there, it stays no matter what. It was a rare form of skin cancer, Broken Dolly. It was a deep tissue cancer, so it wasn't like from the sun, being in the sun. but it was like a very rare form of cancer that affects 1 in a million people. I would tell you the name of it. They told me the name of it. It's a big old mouthful of a name, but like I said, the best way to describe it, it's a rare form of skin cancer, that it's a deep tissue cancer. So that I hope that helps. But I had a cousin raise her daughters alone after her husband was killed by a drunk driver. Both daughters are successful, plus my cousin survived breast cancer. That's awesome. Ed, Cassandra lost her brother. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Cassandra. Yeah, losing a loved one is that's, I mean, especially if you were close. Like Becky and I are close. We grew up together. Obviously, we're 15 months apart in age, and I've always watched out for my sister as well. And always will. So but I'm sorry to hear that. That's nothing. Losing someone you care about is never an easy thing. That's never an easy thing. All right. Well, we have to do egg count, guys. So we're going to do. So again, I have 14 total chickens, 1 Betty White, and 3 Easter eggers. So how many eggs today total? How many, or did Betty White lay, yes or no? And of the 3 Easter eggers, how many of them laid today? So that's your mission, guys. All right. So I'll give you guys a moment to get your guesses in, and we will go from there. So I'll give you a moment. And I'm going to take a drink of green tea, which does not signal I saw the right answer or not. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but I'm still going to take a drink. Because before, what used to happen is as soon as I saw the right answer, I would take a drink until somebody pointed that out. Oh, when you see the right answer, that's what you do. So I had to stop doing that. All righty. Give you guys just another minute. So, guys, if you had the same exact guess as Delbert Jones, and I'm wondering if Delbert got some inside information on this one or not. If somebody didn't put a bug in his ear, you're going to tell me, Delbert. Tell me the truth and be honest with you. But you're going to win. You get to win anyway. Delbert Jones is the winner. 7 eggs today. No for Miss Betty White, and only 1 of the Easter eggers laid. So you got to fess up, Delbert. Did somebody give you a little whisper in your ear and tell you? So Delbert Jones is the winner. You've won absolutely nothing, Delbert, but you are happy about it. So a chicken told him that's funny. See, he's not confessing here. He's not saying if he got a whisper in his ear or not. He went ghost. But yeah, I'm surprised when Betty didn't lay today because she's pretty consistent. If there's 10 days, she's probably going to lay 9 of them. So, but it was a rainy day, and I think she was being a lazy chicken today. I had a feeling it was a low number day. Okay, all right, we'll take that. But yeah, so I was so actually between what I ate today and what I give the dogs, we were in a deficit egg-wise today. We were in a deficit, but that's okay. I got plenty of eggs. Excuse me. No, I've been eating a lot of eggs. A lot of eggs. Yep. Well, yeah, it happens. I mean, and that's kind of what I figured why they didn't lay so well today. Did you have liposocarma? That doesn't sound like the one. I don't remember. Like I said again, it was longer name than that. It was like I said, it was a mouthful. It was a big old long name of the type of cancer it was. Like I said, I don't remember. To be honest with you, it's that's 10 years. I'm lucky. I'm lucky if I remember what I did yesterday. And I couldn't pronounce it when he told me. When he told me what it was, I was like, "Wow, that's a mouthful." And he goes, "Yeah, it is." But yeah, it was like I said, just I don't know. Maybe if you can look it up as a rare form of skin cancer, that is a deep tissue cancer that affects 1 in a million people. I'm sure that they'll come up with something. Um, but Stephen is asking, will it come back? Okay, that's a good question. With the type of cancer that I had, 98% cure rate. All right, and only 5% of people does it metastasize, which means that it will transfer and travel to a different part of your body. So that type of cancer only presents on your trunk, either the front or the back. It's the only places that cancer shows itself. And so I when I heard those odds, I was pretty happy. Like my cancer doc said to me at the time, if you had to pick a cancer, you picked the right one. So and I will tell you a joke that we said as kids. Okay, there was four of us that grew up together: my cousin Terry, Becky, Doug, and myself. Okay, so cousin Terry and cousin Doug. Doug's my age, Terry's a year older, and Becky's 15 months younger than me. So I was the only non-smoker. I mean, I quit smoking at 16. I started at 12 and quit when I was 16. And so I'm not sure. Like I said, I'd have to try to look it up myself. I'm not 100% sure what they called it. But Diana said, not all kids. I taught mine. They're teaching theirs. They stand a chance. At this point, they're more prepared than I am. Well, that's good. No, and like I said, I don't ever lump all of them into one category. All right. There are very good raised kids that have been raised right with parents that give a crap. You got to have somebody that loves you. You got to have a role model, you know. You might be able to call the doctor and find out the type. Like I said, I couldn't even tell you what my doctor's name anymore was. I can't even tell you. Um, but anyway, very very fortunate. It was a cancer that was very treatable, and they did. And like I said, here I am still sitting here 10 years later. Now, it was a fast acting cancer, so if you don't catch it early enough, it can kill you. So if I had procrastinated on it, it could have been very, very bad. But I was very, very fortunate. So Tony says my grandchildren are third generation homeschool kids. Nothing wrong with that. Sarcomas. It probably was a sarcoma. Yes, I think it was some kind of sarcoma. But like I said, it had like when I'm telling you guys, it was a mouthful of a name. You know, but like I said, I don't remember exactly which one. And like I said, I didn't dwell on it because we took care of it and got it done. And then it was, you see, or sorry, here, you see that scar right there? Okay. You know what? We'll do it this way. That scar right on my face. You can just kind of, right there, you can see it. That scar right there. You know what that's from? I'll tell you a quick story. So I was down at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and we had to qualify with the rifle. You have to do it periodically to qualify. Well, with the M16 shoots the round straight back. Okay, so if you are left-handed, which I am left-handed, you have to have what's called a brass deflector that you hook onto the gun, and so when it shoots, it hits that and just drops the round right there. It's called a brass deflector. So we get to the range that day, and I was the first left-handed person to shoot. And there's another one. I don't know if I can. I can't do it and show you, but on this this other side up here as well, I have a scar up here. So I got that one and I have that one. So what happened was it's my turn to shoot, and I said I need a brass deflector, and they're like, well, we don't have any. I go, well, what do you want me to do? Well, you have to qualify anyway. I'm like, are you serious? And they're like, yes. Right? So you got your helmet on and your chin strap, right? So your chin strap's on. And I'm shooting. And the brass is coming back and hitting me in the face. Now, thank God I had glasses on. And it kept hitting me in the face. I had here, well, that spot there. That was one piece got stuck there, hot brass. And then the other one got on the back on, I'm looking at the thing. The other one was up here that got stuck as well. A piece of hot brass between my face and my chin strap. And after the second one, the first one, I just said, no, I'm going to keep shooting. The second one hit, got stuck. And I was like, screw this. And I took the M16 and I held it out and I just fired it off. Okay. And everybody else that was left-handed saw this bubble on my face here and the other bubble higher up here. And they were like, I ain't shooting, you know? And so this is the military in a nutshell. I tell you, just to give you a little insight information. So they have to do an incident report, right? A soldier got injured, right? So when they wrote up their thing, what they wrote was they had the option to shoot or not shoot. When you were told by a superior NCO or an officer or whatever to do something, you do it. You don't question it, you do it, all right? But when they wrote it up, they were like, oh, they had the option to do it or not do it, which was total BS. And like I said, everybody else refused after they saw my face. So, yeah, I got 2 scars from that one as well. Burns are not fun, folks. I will tell you that right now. Anybody's ever been burnt in any kind of way, 2nd, 3rd degree burn, not a good time. Not a good time. And the brass coming out of an M16, it is not pleasant. It is not pleasant. So, and back in those days, the DI would just tell you to suck it up. Don't go to sick call. Right, exactly. Yep, exactly. But, yeah, it's just, it's part of what was what. You just had to deal with it. It was there wasn't an option, So, but, yeah. So, and I passed. That just so you know, too, they passed me. I know I didn't do well because I couldn't. I mean, I keep getting hit in the face with the brass. But they did pass me on that one. It was amazing. I'm like, isn't that amazing? Yeah. So, but got asked to leave out of a poker game when I was winning. My buddy friend brought me into the game and went to the ATM. I dealt cards left-handed and didn't know it. I'm right-handed. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, they probably figure you were fixing things. Yeah. So, anyway. But, again, these kids, they got a tough go of it now. Like I said, not even just that so many of their people in their age group don't want to work, so it gives them a bad reputation. So that gives them, a strike, if you will, trying to get a job because they're figuring, well, all these kids are the same. None of them want to work. They don't want to show up and all that. So a lot of times these people don't want to take a chance. And if they do take a chance and they get one of these kids that's actually going to work, then it's a good thing. But, they got so many things against them. We're in trouble as an older generation because these are the ones, these younger ones now, they're the ones that are going to be taking care of us when we get old. That scares me. That's why I'm going to stay as far away from anything as I possibly can as long as I can. But yeah, there's so much confusion for the kids to learn and become productive in life. Well, they don't prepare these kids either. And that's another part of the problem. They're not prepared for life. which is tough. So they got a lot against them. But anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you with my favorite saying, STD. Step, thing, and day. One step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you are trying to do, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you can do it. The only one that's going to stop you from reaching your goals is going to be you. That's it, nobody else. Um, you know, if you set realistic goals, you can accomplish anything that you want to, and just keep striving at it, and you will get there. So, anyway, be safe, keep prepping. I will see you guys all on Friday for the next live stream, 8 o'clock Friday night. So, look forward to seeing you all then, and have a great rest of your day. Prepper Nurse One, out for now.